It has been almost 4 months since 5-year-old Summer went missing from her home in rural Tennessee on June 15th. Her parents, Don and Candace, say they believe someone came through a wooded trail near their house and grabbed Summer. Don says that he fears his little girl is dead. Yet Candace says that she just must remain hopeful. Take a look.
Breaking news, an Amber Alert now issued by the TBI for a missing 5-year-old girl. The search continues for Summer Wells from Rogersville. Wells is roughly 3 feet tall, weighing 40 pounds with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing gray pants and a pink shirt. Now, she was reportedly last seen outside of her home in the area of Ben Hill Road and Beach Creek Road.
19 agencies, including the TBI and FBI, are assisting in the search, along with air proofs.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said the search for Summer is, quote, definitely outside the norm when it comes to the standard amount of time for a missing persons case like this.
Despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
We continue to hold out hope that Summer will be found safe.
We will not quit until we find Summer Wells.
In reflecting back and recalling that day, Candace says that she and Summer had a great day, from running errands to swimming in a nearby lake to planting flowers with Grandma. When they got home, Candace watched Summer go through the front door, but she never saw her come out.
June 15th, 2021, it was just a normal day. I called my wife and she was getting her mother's prescription, so I decided just to go ahead and work late.
We just finished planting flowers and then Summer was putting the rocks on top. And then she got a piece of candy from Grandma and then she asked to go back in the house with the boys. Well, she walked right in the house. After Summer went inside, I walked back over here to my mom's camper and I fixed my mom's knee brace when she was sitting right here in the doorway. And I told my mom that I have to go back in with the kids. Helping my mom with the knee brace only took like 2 to 3 minutes. After I came into the house, I asked the boys where she was, and they said that she went downstairs to play in the playroom. And I came into the playroom and looked. I even looked under the bunk beds and everywhere, and she wasn't here at all. And when I couldn't find Summer in the basement, I come outside, and I stood up here on this hill, and I hollered for her and told the boys that she wasn't down there. And then I went outside, and I called Donnie right away.
About 5:30 p.m., my wife Candace called and said she couldn't find Summer. I says, well, hang up for me and call 911. So I threw my tools in the car as fast as I could, got in there and started down the road and called 911 myself. I passed all kind of cars in double yellow and everything, and I'm getting really worried. So here's my road. I pull down here. Here's the creek right here. I notice my 3 boys are together and they're over here looking. And then I looked over that way and seen my neighbor coming this way towards my boys, and my heart sunk because I knew she was abducted. I knew she was gone.
Well, just like many parents of missing children these days, Don says they turn to social media for help. But instead of sending clues to his daughter's whereabouts, online bullies began accusing them of being guilty of either killing their daughter or having something to do with her disappearance. So Candace and Don say to prove the naysayers wrong, they sat down with body language experts Scott Rouse and Greg Hartley. Now, Scott and Greg are interrogators who have worked with the FBI, law enforcement, and the military. Scott says his approach is biological, and Greg looks for motivation. Together, they have been called a human lie detector. Now, Scott and Greg agreed to sit down with Don and Candace to dive deeper into their story.
There's no such thing as body language of deception. There's only body language of increased stress, and that indicates something for us.
There are no absolutes. Just because someone does this doesn't mean they're lying or telling you the truth.
And in real life every day, debriefers do exactly what we do, and they find information the person doesn't remember that they saw.
I thought it was a 4-wheel drive, like Ford Escape or a Bronco or
It
something.
looked like a blue minivan to me, but I don't know.
Small blue minivan?
That's what it looked like to me.
We knew we would get to a point where it was going to be hard emotionally. And that's hard to do because people will think you're a monster, but that's important to getting facts. Do you know what happened to Summer?
No.
Do you know who took Summer?
No.
We actually hit harder on the questions for what happened that day. When did this happen? How long was it before this happened?
When you come home, when you first come home.
I'm not doing all that. I'm not going all the way back. I can't do this.
So listen, they're trying to help. They're trying to help.
It's not helping me.
I know, but they might.
There's nothing more to remember.
And we did see some interesting body language.
I want to go home.
Well, guys, this is an interview that you conducted near their home, and a lot of interesting things turned up, and I want to look at those and discuss them. Now, Scott, what has jumped out to you most about either one of these two, either mom or dad? What's jumped out at you most?
The differences in comfort and discomfort as we speak with them. There are certain things we touch on, and when we're talking to them, they're comfortable. They start becoming uncomfortable due to stress. Those are the things we look for, and we saw those things jump out.
Yeah, and we're going to look at some of those in a minute. Greg, how about you?
Yeah, Doc, so we look for a baseline, and baseline can be everything from speech patterns to movement to all of those. Everyone here, if you ever been pulled over by a police officer, the way you talk changes, the way you move changes, that's stress. So we're looking for that, and we're talking to these people. And it's different in Candace and in Don.
Yeah. Now, Candace didn't want to be interviewed at first. She was very resistant to this, and it's only through building a relationship with Don and him kind of helping with that she was willing to sit down. Now, I've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of missing children cases, and most parents are willing to do anything and everything, including with law enforcement. They say, look, rule me out. Do these elimination polygraphs, blood tests, DNA, whatever, to rule me out so you can stop messing with me and start looking with everybody else. Why was there reluctance here?
There's some reluctance because they do have some history with law enforcement and those things. And if you look at us, we kind of look like law enforcement, so it takes a little bit.
Yeah, you look like cops. All right, well, let's start looking at some of these tapes just right off. Let's start with Don, because you did sit down with him first, and you spent a long time interviewing him, but we've agreed to look at some particular clips that seem to be of some significance.
Is there anything about Candace's story that makes you question the story?
No, not the way it played out and everything like that. I mean, yeah, you always have questions, and I ask myself, and but the way that it happened and her emotions and her state of mind.
What were the questions that you had?
I mean, I don't really have any. I mean, I don't really have any questions. I mean.
Okay, now, you guys know I'm highly involved in interrogation, deception, detection as well.
Oh, yeah.
And from a psychological standpoint, not paying any attention yet to any of the body language or any of the physiology of that, I heard him say yes twice and no 4 times in there. He was stammering, stuttering all over the place. What'd you make of that?
So for me, what I see is editing as you speak. You'll notice his eyes are dropping down to his left. He's having kind of an internal conversation about how do I answer this very complicated question. And I think he edits, he speaks, he edits, he speaks, and never finishes a sentence.
There aren't versions of the truth.
Correct. We were under the impression he was holding back a little information from us at that point.
Okay, and this is important to me because we're trying to find this little girl. I don't care about anything else. I want to know what happened to this little girl. I wouldn't be doing this story otherwise. I'm just interested. If Summer has been abducted and she's somewhere, I want to find her. If her life has been taken, then we need to know that. I mean, answers have to be found here. She deserves that. And so I'm really concerned. It's very clear to me that he is editing. That means he's holding something back, guarding something. He has knowledge of something that he's not just erping up.
That's correct. Exactly.
So the question is, what's he know that he's not telling us? Okay, let's take a look at this next tape here. And this is just kind of a follow-up, a redirect on some of the things that he had to say. Let's look at this.
So what do you say to somebody who says, no, you're involved, Your family's involved. How do you respond to that?
Well, for 3 months, I spent on the phone for 3 months. I accepted every friend request there was. People want, well, I'm your friend, we can look for you. And, for 3 months, I stayed on the phone day and night trying to find my baby because I figured Facebook's the best tool possible to help find her. And, but there's this group on Facebook combating us the whole time, and we don't know who this group is or what they're up to.
Okay, now was he redirecting here, or was he just concretely answering a question?
Yeah, so I'll let Scott answer last because he discovered this. When you ask this guy this question, what I was saying is, how do you respond to people who say you did this? Well, I expected, well, no, I didn't. But he doesn't. He goes on to talk about Facebook. In usual interrogations, we assume that is deceptive and avoiding.
When Greg asked him how he responded to that, he's talking about responding to people on Facebook. He's talking about responding to people on YouTube. He's had a whole lot of flack come from that direction. So I understood that he didn't see it as when an investigator asks you that question, or when I ask you that question. He said, in other words, he took it as when social media asks you that question, how do you respond to them? That was his
Meaning
impression.
physically, how do you do it?
Come up here with me for a minute, if you would, and let's take a look at this, because this, to me, would be just real deflection and deception unless you understand that he's very concrete
For sure.
in this. Let's look at how the question is asked.
So what do you say to somebody who says, no, you're involved, your family's involved? How do you respond to that?
Well,
Okay, at that point you said, how do you respond to that? You meant, how do you respond to it? Like, no, I deny that.
Exactly.
But
From an
instead,
abstract.
he says, well, I used the phone, I used the keyboard. That's what you're talking about,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Did you consider this deceptive at all, or did you think he just was answering the wrong question?
Initially, we thought it was deceptive, that he was redirecting the answer, the answer to the question to somewhere else. That's what we thought.
And there are two indicators that made us think that. His blink rate goes through the roof, which means you're feeling stress, but it can also be processor speed as I am trying to think through something. And we think that's what we're seeing.
Okay, and when you say his blink rate went through the roof, you're talking about while he's answering the question.
That's
here.
correct.
Yes.
Well, for 3 months, I spent on the phone for 3 months. I accepted every friend request there was. People want, well, I'm your friend, we can look for you. And
Okay, his blink rate here is probably 70, 80 a minute.
For sure.
least.
And that's higher by far than anyone sitting here.
Let's take a look at this third clip. Let's just watch it through and then we'll break it down. Go ahead.
Do you know where Summer is?
I don't know. I wish
Do you
I
have
did.
any earthly idea what happened to her?
No, I wished I did.
Do you think Candace had anything to do with it?
No.
And what about this? And you think what might have happened to her was what?
She was kidnapped.
Yeah.
When he says kidnapped, I associate kidnapping, because of my background, with trading the person back for something. If that's the case, that has meaning. If it's just he uses words interchangeably, has no meaning.
Yeah, and we don't know,
You know where Summer is?
but this is the first time that in any of your interactions that he ever used this word.
She was kidnapped.
Okay, so that's the first time that he ever used that.
And he used abducted in your lead-in footage. If you
Right.
notice.
Abducted. Now, and there's a substantial difference.
Yes.
Abducted is just all of a sudden she's there, then she's gone. Kidnapped is transactional.
That's right. And that's a guilty language thing that we collectively look for in the business. Guilty knowledge means something. So we were suspicious of him, of course, and we developed a relationship with him that caused the second interview to occur.
At this point, he's cooperating,
Yes.
Yes.
and he's been cooperating throughout.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes to his detriment,
Yeah.
For sure.
with like social media and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's Candace, and you sat down with Candace with Don.
Yes.
And coming up, what was the question that caused Candace to take off her mic and walk away instead of staying hooked up to efforts that could lead to finding out what happened to her daughter? And that's a significant distinction because, as I said, most parents will do anything and everything to find their daughter. And you'll hear her say a very important sentence that spoke volumes to me. You'll find out what that is right after the break.
It's been 4 months since Summer Wells was last seen at her home here on Ben Hill Road. Since the night of June 15th,
everybody's a person of interest till we find Summer.
authorities said all possibilities were on the table, but Summer's parents believe someone took her.
I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
It's been almost 4 months since 5-year-old Summer Wells went missing from her home in rural Tennessee on June 15th. Now, her parents, Don and Candace, say they believe their daughter was abducted. You just heard Don say, well, maybe she was kidnapped. Was that just him using what he considers to be a synonym, or was it leakage of something he knows that he hadn't said before? Well, we're not sure about that. But when their story broke, the couple says the online bullies accused them of having something to do with the disappearance. Now, Don agreed to sit down with body language experts Scott Rouse and Greg Hartley in hopes of clearing his name. Don says Candace refused at first, but finally agreed to sit down.
Candace, I'm going to have to ask you some hard questions. I told you this. Did you do anything to Summer?
No.
Do you know what happened to Summer?
No.
Do you know who took Summer?
No.
Anybody in your family involved with this?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And, you know, people are always going to point their fingers to people closest to somebody. It's just the nature of how it goes. What do you got to say to those people?
I don't know what to say, but they're wrong.
Why are they wrong?
Because I had nothing to do with this.
Okay, what jumped out at you here?
Immediately, when she said no for the third time, it was quiet. It's a whisper.
Okay, there's a distinct difference here qualitatively.
Yes.
No.
Do you know what happened to Summer?
No.
Do you know who took Summer?
Okay, that time, nothing came out of her mouth.
Right.
So, first question.
I told you this. Did you do anything to Summer?
No.
Do you know?
Okay, did you do anything to Summer? No.
Demonstrative, no. Yep.
What happened to Summer?
No.
Do you know?
You know, what happened to Summer?
Almost identical answer.
Yeah, same qualitative answer.
Who took Summer?
All right.
Do you know who took Summer?
Right. Head shakes no still. The voice doesn't even say anything. A silent no comes out, and then she adjusts.
We call that fading facts.
Okay, then she gets out a weak no.
No.
You hear strong no's to the first two questions.
Correct.
But then when you say, do you know?
Right.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
So what do you make of that?
So I immediately wanted to go further and push a little harder. And I will say, when you do what we do for a living, sometimes people cry and you force them to cry. So this immediately caused the next question.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the next tape.
Is there any reason anyone near you would want to hurt you or your kids?
Not that I'm aware of.
What do you think should happen to somebody that did this? To the person that did this, what do you think should happen to them?
They should be put away for the rest of their lives. I mean, they should be tormented, I think.
Out of the gate, if I ask you what happened to Jordan, he was missing, or what should happen to that person, don't answer it because I know it would be bad. You wouldn't say, it wouldn't be a pause there. You wouldn't say put him away for a long time, he should go away forever. You would have a very extremely graphic answer to that. Exactly.
Yeah, it wouldn't take me 5 seconds to think about it. Give me 10 seconds in a room alone with him, and we'll be through.
If someone stole your dog,
same answer.
That's the answer.
Yeah. Same answer. But here, what you get is very different. Here, what you get is a pause and then a response.
The person that did this, what do you think should happen to them?
Okay, now, you said, what do you think should happen to them? First thing she does is close her eyes.
Yes. She's blocking.
And we call that eye blocking or escaping. Right?
Yes.
We're getting away.
And then there's a pause.
Yep, she's thinking.
Watch her respiration. Watch her breathing. You can't miss it.
They should be put away for the rest of their lives. I mean, they should be tormented, I think.
A lot here. We see her eyebrow go up there. She's not sure what she should say. Everything she's doing says I'm unsure and shouldn't be saying this. That's what we're seeing there.
Yes, for sure. And then you'll notice if I ask you those same questions, your chin would jut. You would say that person needs to be put away for the rest of their life and tormented with no second guessing. The other thing you likely would not do is drift down into your right in an emotional state. We haven't seen a lot of emotion, but we see it here.
Okay, but we're going to see emotion here in just a second. Since the night of June 15th, there are still no answers as to where Candace and Dawn's 5-year-old daughter, Summer, could be. Now, I'm here with body language experts Scott Rouse and Greg Hartley, dissecting their interrogation with Summer's parents. All right, let's see this one.
The guys who run organized crime around you worried about them at all?
Oh, they question him, and he has an alibi, but,
What about those fellas that live around there in the cornbread mafia?
Cornbread mafia.
That's what we call them where we live.
I have no idea. I've heard about some hillbilly mafia type stuff and everything, and all these different boys. We've tried to steer clear from all these.
This is words up there.
I've tried to steer clear from all these people just as much as possible. And I think they've kind of seen us as targets because they have come up and stole our stuff. They come up in my shed and stole all my mechanic tools at one time. When they knew we were gone. They knew me and her were together. Just hang on.
Have you guys put any kind of security or anything on your place?
No, we don't have any kind of security.
Okay, now this is significant to me for a lot of different reasons. We haven't seen a lot of tears from her. She's talked about Summer. She's talked about her disappearance. She's talked about looking for her. She's talked about her being gone. She's gone down into her room where she lives. She's picked up her toys. She's held her toys. She's looked at the bed she's not in. She's looked at trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger, and not a tear. But then you ask about the cornbread mafia, which is a colloquial term for a kind of organized grassroots crime syndicate in Tennessee.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And let's see what happens when you ask. Let's pay attention to her.
What about those fellas that live around there in the cornbread mafia?
Cornbread mafia.
That's what we call it.
So we started by trying to give her a little space with organized crime.
Yeah. And so Greg brings up organized crime, doesn't register anything with her. As soon as I say cornbread mafia, we'll watch this side of her mouth start dragging down. Mm-hmm. Because that's when the emotion hits.
Cornbread mafia.
That's what we call
it. Yeah, right there is when you say it.
I have no idea. I've heard about some hillbilly mafia type stuff and everything, and all these different boys. We've tried to steer clear from all these.
This is words up there.
I've tried to steer.
We call this insulating and running. She insulates, she starts crying, so we can't get to her. In other words, psychologically, we can't speak to her. And we see the emotion. As soon as I say cornbread mafia, right there, as we see that mouth start dragging down within seconds. And that's how long it takes to get into the brain, work around, do its thing, and say, hey, this isn't good. And it shows emotions coming from this that most likely shouldn't be there. Of course, we'll discuss later.
I will also say, are the tears real? Absolutely, because you can't fake a snotty nose, just to use regular old terms. And what we know is that she is feeling pain. She is feeling emotion here that we didn't see any other place in the story. So this feels.
We don't know what it is.
That's
right.
It
could be fear.
That's right.
It could be guilt. It could be fear and guilt. It could be any number of things.
We can't read minds. We read symptoms, as you say all the time. We read symptoms, but those are pretty clear symptoms.
Yeah.
Clear from all these people, just as much as possible. And I think they've kind of seen us as targets because they have come up and stole our stuff. They come up in the shed and stole all of my mechanic tools at one time. When they knew we were gone. They knew me and her were together.
Okay, at this point, she wants out. She came there to help find her daughter.
Correct.
But you've raised the stakes to the point that forget about my daughter. I want out of this room.
It's all about me at that point.
I can't do this.
They're trying to help. They're trying to help.
Yeah, we're trying to help.
It's not helping me.
It's okay. So let's give you a minute. Okay.
They're trying to help, so they're not helping me.
That's right. That made us.
They're not helping me.
If she had said, "Well, how's this going to help Summer?" our response would have been different, but that took us down the path.
That's when
they're not helping me. Now, Candace refused to let our cameras inside the upper level of their home, but we were able to obtain footage of Candace giving a tour inside that part of the house. We'll take a quick look at that next. I want to take another clip from their interview with Don and Candace, and let's take a look at just the entire clip, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Live in the country, you don't expect that kind of stuff.
Calm down for a minute.
No, I want to go inside.
These are tough questions.
No, I'm being interrogated again, and I don't want to do this anymore. Yes, I am.
We'll stop. I want you to feel comfortable.
No, I want. Oh, and I want to go home.
Calm down.
I don't want.
Okay.
Okay, this is right after you ask about the cornbread mafia, and she had the response that we saw, and now she's fleeing the scene.
Yes.
So she starts, even before she flees the scene, by doing something that we refer to as the trancer in our true crime workshop, and that's making herself unavailable. Whether it's doing this or emotional or something you escape, she's already escaped. It's just a matter of getting out of that wire.
Yeah.
The interesting piece is contrast their body language.
Uh-huh.
Don looks oblivious to all of this. He's trusting us and paying attention to us. She's not. It's an interesting.
Yeah, and at this point, she's down in her chin.
You ask them a question and they feel they're being threatened, you'll see that chin drop. It protects the neck. It's something that happens from your limbic system, it's a psychological thing that happens. So the head goes down. That's what we're seeing there, along with a lot of she talks about it's not working for me, those types of things.
They get very emotional. They lock up. Their throat is protected by putting their chin down over their throat. And then typically in pre-confession, their body will open up, and that's when you close. That's when you go after them.
Yeah.
We wondered.
Now, when my producer asked the Wells for a tour inside their home to better understand what happened the day that Summer went missing, Candace refused. Then she changed her mind and led us into the basement, but only after they had time to clean it. But a month after Summer went missing, Candace did invite podcaster Chris Madonna of the interview room for a home tour. Let's take a look at a little bit of that.
I watched her walk in there, and afterward, when she was already in there, I walked over, I said, "Why?" And he looked at me and I said, "Watch Sissy, I'll be right back." And that's when I walked back over to my mom's.
Okay.
And I was fixing her brace and stuff like that. And I said, "Well, Mom, I got to go back over with the kids." And that's when I come back up into the house.
Okay.
With the boys.
Okay.
Not that way.
You walked into the house.
I walked into here. Get up. Get up. Walked in here and them three were sitting right here, bro, with their eyes glued to the TV, like always. And I said, "Boys, where's your sister at?" "Well, she just went downstairs, Mom, to play." So I went over here like this, because if this little stairs are,
Okay.
it's actually down under there.
Oh, down into her bedroom.
Our bedroom, and then hers is on the other side.
Oh, okay, in the basement.
Yeah, in the basement.
Well, this makes sense now, see?
And then I yelled, I said, "Summer, Summer." And she didn't, I listened for a minute, I didn't hear nothing. So I went like this, because this is how I always get down here.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if you want to come down here or not.
Do I got to be tiny to get in there?
No, you should.
Can we come in from the other side?
Well, we can, but it'd make more sense if you went this way.
Okay, I'll follow you. Oh, man. Good grief,
No, I know
girl.
if my 6-foot husband can fit down here, you can.
Huh?
My husband's 6 foot, I know if he can fit, you can.
This. Oh, my gosh. Way to go.
This is my husband's room.
Okay.
And over here, well, it's a mess again.
That's all right.
But this is where Summer and Little Waylon was.
In the interview, you ask if someone there's a door to her room downstairs. It's a basement room, but there's an outside door.
Correct.
You ask, could you hear if someone had opened that door?
She said, "Yes, you can clearly."
Okay, so we have footage of her opening that door. Let's take a quick look at the door.
I don't recall if this was locked or not. I don't recall that.
Okay.
But I know, it's hard on me. But I know I did come out here and I said, Summer, because sometimes she'll sit right here.
There was a tiny squeak to the door, and that was it.
That was all.
You couldn't hear that up those stairs, through that cubby hole, and around through that cluttered room with the television on.
No.
As I understand it, what Candace says is that they were planting flowers.
Yes, sir.
She had a piece of candy.
Yes, sir.
They washed their hands, had a piece of candy. And then she says she walked her up the stairs to the house, inside, handed her off to the boys for supervision, that the boys said she went downstairs. Candace went back outside to help her mother with her brace.
Yes.
And came back in, and all of that happened within 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
What she says. 2 to 5.
I'm saying what she says.
Yes. Yep.
2 to 3 minutes. She called for Summer, no answer, and she immediately called Dawn on the phone and said Summer's missing.
I think she will tell you that she didn't. We got something different the other day. We heard that after she checked the house, she crawled around under beds, she did this, she did that. She put the boys out to look in the yard, and then she called Dawn, is what we heard.
Okay. But she went on alert in 3 to 5 minutes.
Right.
Correct.
Psychologically speaking, I have to tell you that's inconsistent with everything I'm seeing. Because everything I'm seeing does not tell me that I have a hypervigilant mom on my hands here.
Agreed.
I have a hard time believing that she would walk her up the stairs and hand her off lovingly to 3 babysitting brothers, go back and help her mother, and be back inside in 2 to 3 minutes calling for her daughter. Just the timeline doesn't work right. I don't believe she could get out there and back in 2 to 3 minutes. I don't believe she called for her in 2 to 3 minutes and went on alert in under 5 minutes and started a search. Or that she would call Dawn, and given Don's history with law enforcement, that his first reaction would be call the cops. Because every time the cops have been out there before that, it wasn't to serve and protect, it was to arrest and detain. I'm not saying that Candace is involved here. I'm not saying Don's involved here. I'm just saying it just doesn't add up to me. And when things don't add up, I need more information.
Yep.
Right.
Coming up, Candace and Don are here. They're going to give their first national television interview. I'm not sure how long it's going to last. But they say they want to set the record straight, and I'm going to give them every opportunity to do that. When they come out, I'm going to ask you two to sit down here so you can observe them while I speak with them, and I'm going to see what we can learn. My goal here is to see if there's something we can find out. Maybe it's something that they have guilty knowledge of. Maybe it's something they know that they don't know. They're not aware that they know something that might be meaningful. They may know something they don't know is important. We're going to find all of this out when we meet them next. On June 15th, little 5-year-old Summer went missing from her family home. Her parents, Don and Candace, say they thought they were doing the right thing by going online, requesting the public's help to find their little girl. But Don says it all backfired. They became targets of online bullies.
When Summer came out missing, I thought the best thing I could do is turn to social media. So I put all her pictures out there on YouTube, Facebook, and everything I could, hoping that social media could help us find our daughter. And that's when the entire investigation got totally twisted around. I have 2 distant relatives that accused me of some horrific things that were definitely not true. They called TBI the second day after Summer's disappearance and told them that I'd done a horrific thing to my daughter and killed her. They put it out there on YouTube. After all these lies were spread all over social media, I started getting messages, tell them where your daughter is. Let's get this over with. Just all kinds of hate stuff constantly. The worst part of all the social media lies is people were focused on us, and even the police focused on us. Instead of going out and looking for Summer, they started looking at me and my family. We lost about 75 days. As far as all those lies and stuff, none of that matters. We just want our baby home.
Well, first, let me say I'm glad to meet you both, but very sorry for the occasion. I wish we were talking about 1,000 other things than your missing daughter, Summer. Since you've last talked to Scott and Greg, have you learned anything at all? Anything new happened? Anything from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation? Anything that we don't know?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
First off, tell me about Summer. Candace, you're her mom. Tell me about Summer. What's she like? How did she spend her time mostly?
Playing with the toys.
Yeah. Did she like to play inside, outside?
She liked to be outside most of the time.
Yeah. You have the 3 boys, and then Summer, she was the youngest.
Yeah.
And how'd she get along with the boys?
She was boss of the boys.
She ran the ran the boys. Yeah. I kind of, in watching her run around, she sure had a lot of energy. Was she one that would wander off, chase a butterfly, do something where she would look up and realize she was further away than she thought she might be?
No.
She stuck close to the house?
She stuck close to the house.
Was she a daddy's girl or a mama's girl?
She was a daddy's girl.
Daddy's girl?
Yeah.
There were some vehicles that were seen around the property that day. A red truck, for example, was seen nearby. Did that person ever come forward and identify themselves?
Never did come forward as far as we know.
Do y'all know anybody with a red truck?
No.
You know, statistics tell us that when children are abducted or molested or in any way victimized, it's very seldom by strangers. It's a friend of the family, a family member. It's somebody that has access to the family. Do you have any idea, any concept of anybody that would have had knowledge of your property, how to get down that road, how to do anything that and I'm not asking you to name somebody here, but is there anybody that comes to mind that might have seen Summer or targeted her in some way?
Not that we know of. We've been thinking about that constantly, constantly just trying to think.
Candace, is there anybody that made you uncomfortable, just the way they looked at her or were around her?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
I'm sorry?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
I've been involved in a lot of these investigations, and I've got some observations I want to share with you that I feel real strongly about. To make matters worse for Don and Candace, Child Protective Services removed their 3 sons from the house. That might be a bad thing. It might not be a bad thing given some of the hate that's been directed towards them. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Authorities say on October 14th, Summer Wells' mom, Candace Bly, told officers Donald Wells came home drunk and saw someone else in the house and believed that Bly was cheating on him. Bly filed an order of protection. She says Wells drinks and throws things and that he was mentally and physically abusive.
She's apologized to me. She even talked to the judge and told him that she made a serious mistake.
The domestic assault charges and unlawful possession of a handgun were dismissed.
For Don and Candace, it was bad enough dealing with the stress of their 5-year-old daughter Summer disappearing 4 months ago from their rural Tennessee property. But to make matters worse, their sons, 13, 11, and 9 years old, were removed by Child Protective Services.
This is the hardest time of me and Candace's life. You lose your daughter, and then you get blamed for it, and then everybody turns on you. We had threatening phone calls daily. They threatened my job. They'd done everything they could to destroy our family. Had a stranger come up at 2 a.m. Didn't know what he was doing there. I fired a shot. over his head, and they ran down the driveway. I expected bullet holes to be coming through our house, so we had a lot of sleepless nights. It was taking a toll on me. At one point, I broke down. I lost it. I started drinking really bad, and I made some poor decisions. Once Summer was taken, CPS had to open a case for our good and for the boys' protection. So CPS thought our house was dangerous. I was being dangerous. The CPS took our boys, which I was glad at the time. I was glad that they were not here because I was scared to death for their lives. I agreed with them. My wife didn't, and she's mad at me, but it was just too dangerous. And now it's 3 months later, and there's no sign of our daughter, and we miss all our kids. We just miss them so much.
You want the boys back,
Yes, sir.
and you didn't want them to go to begin with.
Right.
You want them back now.
Yes.
Do you think it's safe for them to come back?
It's a lot safer than it was.
You haven't had any acts of violence against you at the house?
No.
Okay. So there's no reason in terms of acts of violence that have been perpetrated against you that would cause them to conclude that the boys would be in harm's way?
No, we just had one issue with a woman sent to our house, and we don't know. We've heard she was sent from some YouTubers. We don't know, but we called the police right away, and they took her off the property.
If they did a home study right now, if they came in and studied the home, would it meet the standard that they were looking for? Would the house be clean and uncluttered and groceries and safe as far as guns and everything that Child Protective Services investigates? Would it be proper for the boys?
Well, there's some things they want us to work on. We need to put in a couple walls and some other things. So there's still a few things we need to work on.
But you could get that done in short order.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what I think. And like I say, I've done this a lot, and I trained as a forensic psychologist, looking psychology and the law and the forensics involved with human behavior and conduct. And based on the timeline and the factors here, it's very clear to me, based on the facts, that neither one of you did anything to hurt your daughter.
No, sir. No, sir.
That's very clear to me.
Awesome.
So are you understand that I understand that?
Yes.
And you understand that initially the first thing they do is look at if it's the husband that goes missing or gets killed, they look at the spouse. If it's the wife that goes missing, they look at the husband. Yeah. Because statistically, oftentimes that's who it is. Again, because of access.
Right.
Opportunity, motive, means, all of that, they look at the spouse. And so when something happens to a child, parents are the ones in control of the child, so that's the first place they look.
Yes, sir.
And when I first studied this case, the first thing I looked at was, okay, what would be the opportunity for the father and the mother? And I looked at that not knowing y'all at all, just to look at it. And given the timeline, there's no way that either one of y'all did harm to your daughter, and I hate to even say these words, killed your daughter and hid her body in the woods somewhere. I just don't believe that's even possible. So understand, I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter. Awesome. I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter.
Thank you.
I don't think that for a second. And I'm saying that publicly here. So if people are wondering what I think, that's what I think. I don't think you did that. I don't think you did that. And I assume I'm correct about that.
Yes.
You didn't do anything to hurt your daughter?
No, sir.
You didn't do anything to hurt your daughter?
No,
did he do anything to hurt your daughter?
No, sir.
Did she do anything to hurt your daughter? Okay. And the reason that I can conclude that is based on the timeline is you couldn't have done that and hidden the body somewhere that couldn't have been found by now. Cadaver dogs, hunting dogs, search parties, all of that. You couldn't have gotten far enough away before authorities and search parties and everybody got in there. The question that I'm then left with is, do you know something about it that you haven't shared? Do you know something about it that you haven't shared, something you may not even know you know. You may not, there may be something in your mind you don't even know you know, or you may know something that you haven't chosen to speculate about, or you haven't chosen to tell. And that's what I'm really focused on right now, because you're in the best position to know what could have happened. If you had to speculate, what do you think happened?
I have no idea what happened.
Well,
I don't.
You have to have some idea, because you took your daughter in the house and you never saw her come out.
Right.
Something happened.
I don't know what happened. She just was gone.
But she didn't just vaporize. Someone had to take her out of that house. And we know it wasn't you. We know you didn't do anything to her.
Right.
So if it wasn't you, then who was it? Let's rule you out. Okay, we've taken you off the chessboard. You're off the table. If it wasn't you, then who would be the next most likely candidate?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Would it be someone, a stranger? Would it be somebody you know?
I don't know anybody that would have did it. That hadn't be a stranger.
Is there anybody you knew that has disappeared since this happened?
No.
That, they were around, and then this happened, and all of a sudden they kind of moved away, or they've gone away somewhere?
Oh, nobody that I know of.
The only people that I know is the people I work with on a daily basis, and that's the only ones I've ever hung out with. I work all the time, and when I am home, I'm with my kids and her. And
is there anybody that you've had dealings with that are shady, that would do something revenge-wise, just to get back at you, to hurt you, that you owe money, or that you had illicit dealings with in some way? We know that you've had some conflict with the law concerning drugs and different things. Is there anybody that you've gotten sideways with?
I fired a lot of guys for being on meth. And the last guy I fired a day before, I'm pretty sure I can't prove it, but he was way out there, and I fired him. And the very next day, my daughter disappeared. And the law, TBI's been talking to him, and he's got an alibi where he was.
Is there anybody that he's been involved with that you think might be trying to get even with y'all by taking your daughter?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is there anybody that might be trying to get even with you, that would try to hurt you by taking your daughter?
I can't think of anybody.
Nobody in the drug culture, nobody owed money, nobody?
In our area, there's people that, you got these boys, and then you got these boys that they're very prideful about, kind of like, I guess, LA, you got the Bloods and the Crips. Well, these are hillbillies. I don't know. But we don't associate with them. We don't socialize with them. We try to socialize with our church. We try to keep our kids in that church. That's our main goal. We try to stay completely far away from that kind of activity as possible.
Well, but you haven't always.
Right.
When you guys sat down with Scott and Greg, they asked you about organized crime in the area.
Right.
Because we know that there's trafficking that goes on.
Yeah.
People take children, and I hate to even say this because it's such a horrible thing to think about, but they take children and they sell them. They sell them into all different kinds of different lives, whether it's sex trade, slave trade, different things. That happens here in LA, it happens there. And they ask you about organized crime.
Mm-hmm.
When Scott asked you about the Cornbread Mafia, you got very upset when he asked you about that. Why did that upset you so much?
Because I don't even know what that is.
Sorry?
I've never even heard of it. I don't even know what it is.
Then why would it upset you so much?
Because it sounds horrible.
Just thinking, her, in her mind, feeling like she's being interrogated bothers her because she loves her daughter with all her heart. She spent a lot of quality time with her every day, thank God. She took a lot of pictures.
Well, why don't you let her answer?
Okay, yes, sir.
Because that's not interrogating you. It's we're trying to help you find your daughter. I started this out by saying, I don't think you hurt your daughter. I'm standing up for you. I'm saying, I don't think you hurt your daughter. But I'm going to look under every rock. I'm going to go down every trail. I'm going to investigate everything. And if you want to find her, you would be right there beside me saying, right, Doc, let's turn this rock over. Let's ask this person. Let's consider this. It doesn't make sense to me that, I mean, you got up and left the interview when he asked you about that, and I didn't understand that. You want to find your daughter, obviously.
Yes.
And it puzzles me that you get so upset about that. And, one theory is guilty knowledge, that you may know something you don't even know you know. You may be afraid of something that is so horrible you don't even want to think about it. And so you push it down and don't even want to think about it. But I want you to think about it. I want you to be willing to consider every possibility, because it's only when you think about the darkest possibilities that we can find answers. And the Cornbread Mafia, Scott, define that for us.
Sort of an organized crime syndicate in the South. It runs from Tennessee to Georgia. It's widespread.
Mm-hmm.
And some parts are thicker than others, but overall, it's there.
Yeah. And it's kind of a homegrown. This isn't out of New York or Miami or Chicago. This is a local syndicated mafia. There's a lot of meth trafficking in it. There's a lot of all sorts of things.
Yes, sir.
And there are a lot of meth labs in that area, and this is all organized. These aren't independent.
Correct.
It's even harder to penetrate because everybody knows everybody.
Right.
That's
And there is trafficking involved in that part of the country, like every other part of the country. And so one of the theories is that someone abducted her in that regard. And I don't know that. I'm just saying you have to consider that. Somebody took her for some reason.
That's been one of my theories, because there's been a lot of people coming up to our house and just taking whatever at night. They come up, they knew where we were one day, and they took all the tools out of my shed. And that's been one of my theories, is someone local that has been watching us. And then the other theory is a more professional type mafia or whatever. I don't know, but that's always been one of my theories. But I never heard about no cornbread mafia.
Let me ask you, Candace, if I understand correctly what you've said. You took Summer in the front door.
Yes.
And you said to the three boys, keep an eye on Summer.
Yes.
Okay. Then you did what?
Then I went back outside to my mom's camper, which was right next to the house. And I had to fix her knee brace for her.
Okay. She had a knee brace on?
Yeah.
And that took?
Only 2 minutes.
Okay. And then what'd you do?
I went back in the house.
When you went back in, what'd you see?
And the three boys sitting there watching TV.
Okay. And no Summer?
No Summer.
Okay. What'd you do then?
I asked the boys where she was at. And they told me that she went downstairs to play with her toys.
Okay. Would she do that? Would she say, hey, I'm going downstairs to play with my toys, or would she just go?
No, she'd tell the boys.
What'd you do then?
Well, I hollered for her at first.
And no response?
No response.
So what'd you do?
So I went directly down there. I looked for her everywhere I could look, in the room, under the blankets, whatever. And she was gone.
Yeah. All right. What's the way to get out of there besides coming back upstairs?
Just the basement door.
That back door?
Yeah.
Okay. And if that door opens, could the boys hear it?
No, if they had the TV up loud.
Okay. All right. Is she known to go out that back door?
She'll go out the back door, but then she'll circle around by her swing.
Okay. Back around to the front?
Yeah.
What we're seeing here is looking out that back door, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, there's a road there. Is that a
driveway?
A driveway? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, can that be seen from your mother's camper?
No.
That's the back side of the house. You can't see that from her camper?
Not that part, no.
If you step out on the road there, you can about see your camper.
Uh-huh. And that drive there goes up to the highway?
It circles around the house. Right there, it goes to the top, and then it goes down around to it. It circles all the way around the house.
Okay. Is that the back door?
That's the back door.
That's the door to her room?
Yes.
Okay. If she came out that back door and there was somebody there, could they have grabbed her right there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then how would they make their escape? Back this direction?
Well,
away from the camper?
The dogs led, the scent went straight down that dog trail by that yellow generator, right from where that picture's taken.
You're saying then that this is the back door?
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that there was a scent that went this direction?
Yes, all the way down to Ben Hill Road.
All the way where?
All the way down to Ben Hill Road.
Okay. Now, if this looks like a big circle, how do you get back to the highway?
So you go down the driveway to Ben Hill Road and then turn left, and it takes you out to Beach Creek area.
Okay, so for someone to drive away, they would have had to come on around the circle and exit here?
That's a possibility, but we think they were parked down on the Ben Hill Road.
Okay, so you think they would have walked on down through the woods to the road?
Down, that was
and left the car
yes.
down at the road?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what the dogs indicated. The scent went down to the road, and then somewhere on that road, the scent disappeared.
But how would they have known she was going to be there? Would they have gone inside the room to get her?
Possibility. I wasn't even aware the trail was there.
Okay. So your belief is this might be the last spot that Summer was on the property?
Yes, sir.
Right there?
Yes.
That she was put in a vehicle there and driven away?
Yep.
Scott and Greg, you interviewed this family for hours. What is your theory? What's your summation about what happened?
Well, I'll start with you right up front. I don't think either one of them killed or injured Summer. We said that up front. I will say, I also don't think that Don, and I'll hand it to you in just a second, I don't think Don has any guilty knowledge of anything, based on all the time I've spent with him. And Candace, if you don't have guilty knowledge, if you know anything, this is your kid. You need to push this out, whatever you know, because you show signs that you're hiding something.
Well, I'm not hiding anything, though.
Well, the reason we think you're hiding something is because each time we've talked about the cornbread mafia, which you don't know about, that tears you up. You emotionally fall apart. We see signs of stress.
But I don't know anything.
Everything about your body language suggests, or it indicates to us, that you know a little more than you're telling us.
Candace, there are 2 or 3 really red flag things that make us want to know more. Not saying you did X or you did Y. There are lots of ways that things leak in your body language and your behavior, and that's what we're seeing.
Do you understand that we're saying we don't suspect you of doing something wrong?
Yes, I understand that.
It's important to me that you understand that.
Yes, I understand that.
You guys passed polygraphs. I've just the logistics of this thing. It just does not point to you. And if investigators pointing it to you, they're not doing the math. It just doesn't make sense. What I'm saying is, I think you know more than you're telling, and that may be more than you're consciously acknowledging. You may know things you don't know you know, or maybe it's too horrible to think about, but you've got to cut through that, because you do react to certain things that suggest at some level you know something more than you're giving a voice to. And it's hard for me to say, you need to tell us what you don't know. Because that's,
But if I knew, then I could
I know,
tell
that's
you.
what I'm saying. It's like I'm telling you to say, tell me what you don't know. And you're saying, well, how can I tell you if I don't know? And I'm saying you've got to be willing to take your guards down and think through if there's anything that you're pushing out of consciousness, if there's anything that you're just not willing to acknowledge. We need your help to find your daughter. I guarantee you, when this is solved, and it's going to be solved, this isn't going to be a stranger. This is going to be somebody you know, somebody you've crossed paths with somewhere, somehow, in my opinion. It's just a matter of you're going to find it out when they're caught, or you're going to find it out because you go back through and do an inventory and figure out everything you can possibly figure out and lead us to who they are. And every day goes by, that trail gets colder and colder and colder. And if she was abducted and she's been trafficked somewhere, she can be found. I want to find that baby. I want to find that child and bring her back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say goodbye to Don and Candace, and then we're going to kind of summarize everything for you viewers in hopes that maybe something can be triggered in you, something you may have seen, something you may have known. We'll be right back. We've dismissed Don and Candace. You had the opportunity to observe the interactions. Any thoughts?
We saw a lot of differences in Candace as her movements, her cues are very small, because all she did was just dead-eye you the whole time. So our biggest focus was her respiration. And if you'll go back and look at some of this, as you start talking about the cornbread mafia, as you're easing up to that, we'll see your respiration increase. And again, like I was telling her, we'll see her adapters. Adapters are the things you use to get rid of that built-up stress or tension, anything that's a repetitive motion or action. And she was doing that here, very small. But then she started breathing heavily. That's what we saw mostly in her. The closer you got, the heavier she got breathing.
Now, she may have nothing to do with this child's disappearance whatsoever, nothing. But those red flag indicators and those kinds of things that say, why aren't you more forthcoming with information? Why don't you ask? Why don't you tell? Combined with, and you can see it very clearly on her as you watch the video, her jacket opening and closing because of how much respiration she has, and a little bit of barriering or needing more space, just makes you feel uncomfortable.
I think there have been people around this home, workers with Don, people coming over to hang
for whatever
out,
purpose, right? For
party, whatever. I won't make allegations about what they were doing when they were there, but and they see somebody get obsessed, and then come back on their own accord and take the child. It's happened, sadly, thousands of times.
I think they probably are aware of who's around them that is dangerous.
I think she has more knowledge than she's either acknowledging or sharing.
Yes.
One of the two.
We're on the same page.
And I believe that to the core of my soul. I want to thank Scott and Greg for their expertise today. I also thank Don and Candace for sharing their story with us. If you have any information on Summer's whereabouts, please call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND. We will have more information on drphil.com. We'll be following this story and praying for Summer's safe return.